We need the little action
It's
thing. You ready before
okay.
I get started?
It is in.
Is it showtime?
Do you see that we're recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Recording started. Now are we sticking like staying within like
Bippity seal, seal, seal. Oh, I forgot we was recording. Okay.
this is the type of content you need to keep in there.
Bippity seal. Alrighty then. So, my good sister, if all is well with audio and video, whenever you are ready.
Well, hello, professionals, and thank you for coming to our boardroom. My name is Dr. Burks, and I am the Chief HR Officer of our lovely organization. And before I get started, I wanted to make sure I pass the mic to my counterpart.
Well, hello, professionals, and happy anniversary to you. My name is Dr. Ellison, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Be Professional Consultancy. We are celebrating our anniversary with you today, and what a joy it is to do that. We did, as always, want to start out with our foundational principle scriptures. As you know, we operate from a biblical worldview, and our two foundational scriptures are Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 18, and it reads, as workers who tend a fig tree are allowed to eat the fruit, so workers who protect their employer's interests will be rewarded. Our second text is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 9, and it reads, keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you. And what Dr. Burks and I really like about these scriptures, and I will speak from my perspective, from Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 18, is that we have to remember that all the work that we do is unto the Lord and not man. And if we protect our employer's interests, which is the Lord, then we will be rewarded. And then we also like to always remember that as we are working, yes, we do have supervisors, yes, we do have bosses, but ultimately, as we work as unto the Lord and not man. And in Philippians, it says, keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me. That means that professionalism is a practice, it's something that we have to do every day. It's that faith that we have to walk out. We have to put it into practice. Dr. Burks?
No, I agree. I wanted to throw in there my boss is in heaven. That's the only one that I answer to. But no, all seriousness, I think we have preached and emphasized this entire time that it's so much deeper than just showing up every day to a position, but we are genuinely trying to help you and give you principles on how to improve your professional life, and then also make sure that God is with you and you are never absent from Him. So, those foundational scriptures are genuinely what we apply to our day to day with Be Professional.
Right. And as you know, professionals, we are lifelong learners. So we like to take our anniversary and reflect back over this year. And we know a lot of people like to do that on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, but we don't take it for granted that God blessed us with another year, because He didn't have to give us another minute. He didn't have to give us another day. And we are so grateful that He gave us this year. And so today we are going to reflect on the lessons that we learned this past year. And we're just going to reflect and be grateful for you professionals. Dr. Burks, we'll start with you.
So Dr. Ellison and I compiled just, I hate to say a list, but just some of our favorite posts. And the best thing, and actually a year ago, Dr. Ellison and I were having a conversation, excited about this very moment. And so Dr. Ellison and I are very big about just making sure that we give God what's His first and foremost. And in our prayer before we began recording, I just felt so compelled for us to just thank God for this very moment. It is so easy to be present. That part is simple, but to be forward thinking and for us to execute almost everything that we wanted to do this year, and just to see how we have grown and improved. If you go look at our very first video, we talk differently, we project differently, we've studied our audience different. It's just we have genuinely grown, and I'm hoping that that is a testament to you professionals, because like Dr. Ellison said, you are a lifetime learner. And so if we can go over and show you the areas and give ourselves constructive feedback, which we have done, Dr. Ellison, keep me honest, then I think that this will also encourage you when we sit down and we open the books and we start finding areas of opportunity that we can personally relate. So I will start with my favorite, my well, okay, I'm biased, but one of my favorite posts. Dr. Ellison, where should I start? Hmm. So I'll start with LinkedIn. So Dr. Ellison manages our LinkedIn, and it's fire, and it's always so informative. And I actually get excited. We do not pre discuss our content, we just honestly post what we feel is important in the moment. And Dr. Ellison is always on point. Hear me when I tell you this. So she made a post, and the title was Watch Your Language. And the reason why I like this post is because she emphasized the importance of how you talk, how you present yourself, what that could mean, the rooms that you can end up in if you do or don't talk professionally, not putting yourself in a box, speaking those things into existence. And though it was my counterpart who made the post, that was something that I was able to take in. And it was a reminder for me as well. You legitimately, the Bible says that there is power of life and death in the tongue. And so her post reminded me of how important it is to not only be mindful of what we say, but also to who we say it to. What do you think, Dr. Ellison?
Well, thank you very much. And I just think you really highlighted something very, very important, and that's two things. One is teamwork, and then two is trust. And so when you partner with someone like Dr. Burks and I have, we are a team and we trust one another. And so I just am really thankful to you, Dr. Burks, for trusting me to speak for us as we communicate with our professionalism. And as we talk to them about things that we believe that they need to know to go out there and be great every day.
Agreed. It is definitely trust. And I remember just a moment of reflection when I started making posts on Instagram. Everything that I posted, I would send to Dr. Ellison to get her opinion. And she would give me feedback, but she would always reiterate, like, I trust you. You don't have to clear it through me. And that timidness went away because I realized, like, this is ours. And she doesn't have to clear anything through me. I don't have to pre screen. And so that gave me a lot of confidence to just move forward. And so when I say professionals, we just post. We literally just post whatever God has placed on our heart, whatever is going on in corporate world or just professionally in general, any trends that we've seen, which we did a video about that, just throwing that out there. We just talk about it. And so it's so amazing because I feel like it always comes through so authentically. And we've been doing it for a year. A year.
Yeah, that's so good. And
Hmm.
as I reflect back over this past year, I'm reminded why Be Professional Consultancy even exists in the first place. And it was because of the traumatic experiences we had, because of lack of accountability and unprofessionalism. I know that you had an experience that was life or death for you. And so did I. I've had family members and even myself being put in situations where people just came to work just to do a job. And so we decided to stop complaining about it and to do something about it. And so as I reflect back over this year, one of my favorite videos, and I'll talk about a couple of them because we have some
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah,
videos, but
we
one of
do.
my favorite ones is merit and why it fails. And what I really like about merit is because I'm a veteran, so I am coming not only from the civilian sector, but I also have a heavy military background. And merit is one of those words that we talk about a lot in the military. But if you are paying attention to the news and what is going on, a lot of our diversity and equal employment opportunity programs
Mhm.
are under heavy scrutiny right now.
Yes.
If you have heard the acronym DEI, then you know exactly what I am talking about. And one of the reasons why I really like that episode is because the problem is that what research shows is that most organizations cannot even define what diversity even means. So we never even really got a full opportunity to really tackle the fundamental problem is, what do we mean when we say diversity? And I
Mhm.
really like that episode too because we break down history, the history of FMLA, the Civil Rights Act, the pregnancy and age and genetic discrimination, the American Disabilities Act. And so let's just reflect back on that episode. Watch this. And 71% in this survey indicated that their organization did not have a formal definition. So I am going to ask you, as I'm asking myself, how can you have a healthy organizational climate that is fair, that is unbiased, that treats people free of these biases based on race, gender, color, creed, background, all of these things that were put in place by the Civil Rights Act, if you can't even define what diversity is? If everywhere you go, if every department in your organization, if HR or the executives haven't even come to a consensus of what do we mean by equal opportunity? What do we mean by diversity? So if you don't have a good definition, how can you properly employ it, apply it, execute it in the workplace, right? Dr. Burks?
No, that was a whole mouthful. That was actually one of my favorite videos, but I gave Dr. Ellison a list of things and I said I refuse to add something else to the list for her. But it was so informative. And like you said, it gave so many jewels. Like you dropped so much knowledge and you summarize it. When you open the labor, if you open the labor website, for example, um, all of that stuff is included, but it can be difficult to read. So with it being so significant, I like the way that you broke it down and it put it in layman's terms. So for me, I might be biased because obviously I'm an HR professional. However, if I had no HR background, I feel like I would have been able to absorb everything that you stated and then feel comfortable enough to go discuss it with other people because the way it was broken down, it wasn't oversimplified, but it was simplified enough that it's like you get the point. So I actually did like that video. I told her that was one of my favorites as well.
What is your next thing you like to reflect on?
So one of my favorite videos is Do You Need a Degree?
Oh, that's a good one.
And I think it's important that we go ahead and watch that clip.
what we are trying to express and understand is, should it be a standard for any successful position to require a formal education? Police officers, for example, they don't require degrees, but they do require formal training. So this is the interesting part, because I feel like it causes you to reframe the thought of what a good job looks like, what a profitable job looks like, and an idea of what we should work to attain.
So I like, do you need a degree? Because I think Dr. Ellison and I went against the grain for a little bit. And the whole purpose of the video was for us to express that, yes, having a degree is very good. It is a very good accolade to be able to have educational experience is phenomenal. However, a degree can only take you but so many places. And I was hoping that we conveyed that there are trades, like there are so many other ways that you can be successful and professional. It doesn't have to be tied to a specific degree. And I think one of the biggest things that we also conveyed is you can have a degree and still not be professional. That does not make you a subject matter expert. And so it's really all about how you choose to swing it. So I think that was my angle, and I think we succeeded. I could be biased. What do you think, Dr. Ellison?
I like that video too because do you need a degree? A lot of people believe that their opportunities may not be as plentiful, or, they may be frowned upon or looked down upon because they don't have a degree. And I believe I shared not only in that video, but also in the Job Corps video that I started out with a certification, that I started out with an apprenticeship, and that just opened up a world of opportunity for me. And so I don't think that you need to start out with a degree. And
Mhm.
this whole subject of this anniversary video is that we are lifelong learners. We're going to take what we learned this year, because we have definitely had some failures this year, and we've
Mhm.
had a lot of wins this year also. And but we're going to harness the wisdom from this past
Yeah.
year, and we're going to step into the next season and just see where God is going to instruct us to go. But we're always taking everything as a lesson. And I do like that video because at the end of the day, a college degree is a piece of paper. It's what did you learn in the process of getting your education. And a person can have greater than a college degree level knowledge and not have ever stepped foot into an institution, because there are people that have college degrees who can barely read.
They don't want to have this conversation. That's a whole nother. They weren't ready for that. Just saying. No, I mean, but you're right. You're right. I'm sure at some point you all have had or overheard the comment that some people are just good test takers. Some people are just good at writing papers. No, but all jokes aside, that is a real thing because some people are just good at school. So you can actually, and this is the sidebar, Dr. Ellison, if I may, you can make an idol out of anything,
Mm,
including school. And so if you are so focused on the actual program and not really taking that and using it and whatever God has called for you to do and actually doing it in your, operating within your purpose, which is a whole nother video, um, then you're just idolizing school. There's no fruit. You're not bearing any fruit. You're just going to school. And I actually, sidebar, of course, actually saw a gentleman on social media who said that one way he got around having to pay his student loans back was to stay enrolled in school. So he would take a class here and there. He would look at like certificate programs or associate degrees, and he wasn't looking at it because he wanted to acquire a higher level of education. He just knew that as long as he was enrolled in school, his student loans would be in deferment. And so this is what we're talking about with this is what people are spreading. And so when we have our upcoming professionals, these are the ideas that are being put in their heads. And this is why over the past year, Dr. Ellison and I have hustled. And I do mean hustled to change that perspective and just the ideology of what professionalism looks like for multiple different areas. But okay, I'll stop. Dr. Ellison, what you got for us?
All right. So, as I reflected back, I just looked back over some of the work we had done, some of the content that we put out there. Another favorite of mine was necessary resources. You can be busy doing good things, but the wrong things.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So, as an executive, I cannot tell you how handicapped I would see some of our employees be because they just felt like they didn't know what to do next, or
Mhm.
they felt like they couldn't make decisions, or, just things like that. But that necessary resources video kind of, in my opinion, equipped leaders at all levels. So from the janitor to the C suite, what type
Agreed.
of stuff do you need so that you can just get through the day, whether that
Mhm.
be a telephone list, or
Mhm.
who's the chain of command at my job, who's the CEO, some of the things you need to know. How do I get in charge, in touch with housekeeping? What do
Mhm.
we do if there's a tornado or an active shooter?
Simple
Just
stuff.
necessary resources, like some of the bare essentials you need to have. They say, and whoever they is, that if you want to hide something from somebody, put it in a book, because chances are people are not going to read the employee guide and the employee handbook, which is something that Dr. Burks talks about a lot. And so I really did like that necessary resources book, because without the resources, how can you do your job? You can't. And the
Mhm.
Bible talked about an encounter back in Egypt where the leaders started to take away the resources in effort to oppress people.
Mhm.
God knows that we need resources.
Mhm.
Leaders should know that their people need resources. And as employees, from the janitor to the C suite, it is impossible for us to do what we need to do without the necessary resources. Dr.
Absolutely.
Burke?
No, you're absolutely right. If you all recall, we did a video on compliance training and or the necessity of compliance in the workplace. And one of my favorite things is I always tell people, yes, you need to read your handbook so you know what resources are available to you. For example, if your company has an EAP program or if they have any corporate discounts, whatever the case may be, but then also expect your employees to walk in blind, and then you as the leader take on the goal or the task of also making sure that they comprehend the policies, procedures, protocol, et cetera, and then that's where accountability comes into play. So what I liked about that video, Dr. Ellison, which I'm biased because there's no video she's ever recorded that I didn't like, but anywho, what I liked about that video is, or what I like about Dr. Ellison as a professional in general, I will say, and Dr. Ellison, go ahead and pat yourself on the back, is she is so big on, which I feel like we learned in school anyway, but she takes it to a whole nother level with always making sure that as I teach you, because she's a teacher, I tell her that all the time, but as she teaches you, she immediately provides you with the resource. So in my videos, I'll say, like, I'll give you scripture, but I won't read the scripture because I want you to go and encourage you to read the word for yourself. She provides you with the context and then immediately will tell you where you can find it. So it's not a her word against whatever is the truth. It is simply, this is my comprehension, this is my experience, but hey, you can go look at it and review it for yourself to see the validity in what I'm saying. And I love that. I love that as a professional. That is such, she is such a gem to be professional. And I don't know if she realizes, and this was not scripted. So I'm not just saying nice things to get on her good side. But no, I agree. It is a big void in people having access to resources. And that is a real thing. So I think you did an amazing job of breaking that down and going line by line and then encouraging further study, which is her go to. What do
And
you think?
before you go to your next reflection, I just want to let you know that there is nothing that grinds my gears more than an employee that doesn't get what they're entitled to.
Hmm.
I
Exactly.
like when employees know that they can take leave and how they go about taking leave and how much vacation time they get, how much medical leave they can take, and
Hmm.
what do they do in case someone does discriminate against them and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so having the resources in your hand is a source of empowerment. And
Hmm.
I love for people to be empowered.
Yes.
And it doesn't take anything from anybody, from the janitor to the C suite. And
Hmm.
as an executive, it doesn't take anything from me for any employee to be empowered. I don't lose anything. I don't gain any more power from having somebody know when they can or cannot take leave. And when it comes to accountability and when it comes to toxic workplaces and toxic leaders. Some
Hmm.
people think that they can rule over people
Yep.
by keeping them in the dark. I don't
Hmm.
want them to know they can take vacation. I don't want them to know that we can't discriminate against them, that they can have a certain type of keyboard or a certain type of desk, or that they're entitled to maternity leave. We
Hmm.
have to stop operating in these toxic workplaces. And I just
Hmm.
had to say that Dr. Burks and I have a heart and a passion, and it is our God purpose mission to empower his servants at
Hmm.
all levels, from the janitor to the C suite. And if you are in the C suite, like I am in the C suite, it does not take nothing from you to have your employees empowered. Dr. Burks.
No, I agree. I actually, in a prior position, I had an employee who came to me and she was concerned because she felt like anytime she took PTO, that was hers, vacation time, if she was sick, et cetera, that her manager mistreated her when she came back. And it took me a while to understand. And then she started giving me very specific examples. And then when she would take time off, she would, just kind of give me an update on things that were being experienced. And then there came a time where this employee had a protected leave of absence. And even then, when she returned to work, the manager would continue to show almost some type of animosity. And when we finally got down to the root of it, it was because in this employee's absence, the manager had to step up. So though
Mm.
you approved this time because it was theirs to have, though they were on this protected leave, which obviously Dr. Ellison went over FML, um, they're allowed to have it. Obviously, there's a pre-existing medical condition, and you still get upset. That is so unacceptable. And y'all know how I feel about employee advocacy, and it's just unprofessional. And that was dealt with separately. But it's those things why people are timid to take time, why people will push themselves to come to work sick. And it's so unnecessary because you should be able to use the time that you have. Why would we want someone to come to work and give us 10%? But we can let them rest 100% at home and then they come back and give us 150 the next day. So, anywho, that is just one thing that grinds my gears. It's selfish. And, professionals, please don't do that. Even if you never have a personal encounter with Dr. Ellison and I, please take heed. Like, seriously, please don't do that. But yeah, so Dr. Ellison, my sentiments are the same. So, what you got for us? Is it my turn?
It is.
Okay. So another post that I have is actually from our LinkedIn, and it is adaptability. This is also credit to Dr. Ellison. I tell people all the time, you have to be able to adapt to your circumstances. And Dr. Ellison laid it out so plain and simple. Adapt to your environment, adapt to your audience. You cannot come in stuck in your ways. This isn't a situation where it's my way or not. Your way may be wrong, someone else's may be right. You have to realize that there could be a collaborative effort, but you have to read the room and adapt. And I love that because whenever I work and I do training with leaders, that is the first thing I always say. You may have a certain presentation style, but you also have to know your audience. And the way that you present may not be the same way that you can present to a room of executives for blue collar workers. Like you just, it may be different. And the way she broke that post down, y'all have to look at it. But it was really good. I think that she laid it out. You laid it out good, Dr. Ellison. And again, I go back into student mode because then it also gives me a chance to reflect. And then I would sit here and think, like, am I adapting to, we work with a lot of people. We have some very stressful, if you for lack of a better term, um, interactions with people. And so it was just a reminder that you can't become complacent in how you choose to work with people. So even for me, again, we are continually learning, and I'm a student just like she's a student, and we can still learn from each other. And I think that's one of many reasons why we collab so well. Was that a favorite of yours, Dr. Ellison? No bias.
I love that. That's one of those love hate ones because who wants change?
Mhm.
Who wants to have to adapt to something? We
Mhm.
like it just the way it was working fine the
Mhm.
way that it was,
Mhm.
right? Why do
Mhm.
we want to have to change? It
Mhm.
it's so funny because I was just watching the NBA draft
Mhm.
and I heard the parents of one of the draftees say, "We were hoping that our son didn't go to one of the losing teams because he's not used to going to teams that lose." And I'm thinking to myself, things go in cycles, things change. And what happens when you go somewhere where you have to adapt? What if you
Mhm.
get hurt? What if your team takes a L? Are you going to have a mental health crisis? Are you going to have a
Mhm.
breakdown because you haven't been anywhere where you had to demonstrate adaptability and resiliency? And
Mhm.
adaptability is one of those transferable skills.
Mhm.
I can't think of an employer that is not looking for somebody that can adapt
Yeah.
because as technology advances and it changes, and we're talking about AI and we're talking about the landscape of the marketplace changes, competition may change how your company operates and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And if you can't adapt,
Mhm.
sometimes you are going to be gone because
Mhm.
we need you to be able to morph your skill into and package it up in a way that we can use it for the future. And
Mhm.
that's why companies have a mission statement
Mhm.
and they have a vision. A vision is where are we trying to go?
Mhm.
And that is a future statement. And if you
Mhm.
cannot adapt, you will soon be Mr. or Mrs. Irrelevant. So I really like that post as well on Dr. Burks.
That was true. We talk a lot about how the workforce is changing and the trends are changing, and the workforce that started this year is not the workforce from last year or a year prior to. So you got to get on board with evolving, or aside from being Miss or Mr. Irrelevant, you'll also be Miss or Mr. Unemployed. Just saying. So, but they're not ready for this conversation. What you got, Doctor?
I mean, hey, these are lessons learned and
Mhm.
reflections. Well,
Mhm.
my next favorite piece of content or video is the leadership one.
Mhm.
And that was the first time, and it may have been the only time that we actually had guests. So we had
Mhm.
chosen that came as a guest, and Mr. Burks was a guest. So take a look at this.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on, Dr. Burks and Dr. Ellison. It's an actual pleasure to be able to sit in on what you guys do, especially that you're trying to reach so many people. We're trying to do the right thing and being professional, and not only in the workplace, but I feel also in their personal lives and with each and every one that they encounter.
Leadership, I will say that sometimes individuals get into leadership positions that we have to sometimes it goes to their head and they don't know how to receive information from the bottom up. They just think some individuals get into their leadership role and they believe they know everything. They don't know how to learn, keep learning every day.
Dr. Burks?
Think they did. I mean, they added so much value, and what I loved about it is Chosen also had a military background like you and Mr. Burks, and then Mr. Burks had the military background coupled with law enforcement, and it was just phenomenal to see. Like you talk about being a veteran quite often, but to hear it from two different veterans perspectives, and then to also see how that navigated their careers and how that encouraged them. I think it's very, very nice to or it was nice for me, I guess, to hear that, because people don't typically see soldiers or veterans who don't have commissions, or officers, as they don't look at them as professionals, and yes they are. So it was nice to be able to hear them just discuss their experiences, and then their professionalism, turn on. When the camera turned on, they were ready. They were a little nervous at first because it was new, but the camera turned on and they did phenomenal. So I feel like when it's in go mode, if that is within you, it you can't help but show it. You can't hide it. What do you think, Dr. Ellison?
Yes, and I am a leadership and business strategist. So I specialize in leadership. I have several decades worth of experience and expertise in that field. So getting a glimpse into how other people think about what a leader is and how that gets put into practice is always just fascinating for me to hear, and how the foundation of what people expect from leaders doesn't change. It seems like from biblical times until today, people expect integrity out of their leaders and a certain level of ethics and conduct. And that just is one of those things that doesn't seem to change over decades and over a millennia of time. So, what would be your next reflection, Dr. Burks?
Ooh, I almost have an honorable mention, but I might save it to the end if time permits. So, my other favorite YouTube video is motivation. I love that video for multiple reasons, and I need you to just take a look really quickly at my favorite snippet.
Become doctors without effort. So we were more than capable of doing it, but we had to combine that effort to carry it to fruition. So no, that was a mouthful. So Dr. Ellison, I am very interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's interesting just from a psychological perspective, how we're wired and how our external circumstances determine what we're motivated to do. And when I was a lot younger, I was motivated by hunger. And the way that I grew up, I was extrinsically motivated to do things. And I used to believe that if I got a certain relationship, or if I got a degree, or if I hit six figures, then that would mean that I had made it wherever it is. But when you aren't motivated to do the real work, the goal or the end zone, it keeps moving. And it wasn't until I got in my word and I was spiritually inspired um, through reading the Bible, as people would, I got into ministry later on in my life as I got saved. And I learned through reading the Bible that God knew me before I was even born, that before he created the foundation of the earth, he made me.
Mhm.
And all of the things that used to extrinsically motivate me were no longer enough to satisfy, because when I hit the six figures, still not fulfilled. Or if the job gets taken from you, then now what is motivating you? Or when you attain the degree, then now what do you do? And if you're not paying attention to what is going on in the world around you right now, I mean, just take a look at the news and what's going on within social media. There are job freezes right now,
Mhm.
and certain people's jobs are going to be taken from them. So if they were motivated by something, a desire that's outside of them, it's going to be a tough road because the goalpost is always going to continue to change. You're always going to be dependent on somebody else or something else to keep you motivated.
So I love motivation because it is always interesting to see your why. Dr. Ellison and I hone in on that quite often. And as you all, I think, know at this point, we operate with the spirit of excellence and are led 100% by God. And so that's our why. That's what keeps us going. Now, of course, you have internal and external factors, and I won't go over everything because you can go watch it. But I think that sometimes it's nice to just remind people and figure out what motivates you, what keeps you going. Are there more internal or external factors? It's just so many things that go into it. And I just thought that that was a really good video to just share with other professionals on just reevaluating what keeps you going. Is it money? Is it benefits? Is it a new title? What is your why? And then once you acknowledge that and you recognize it, then what are you doing to maintain? Dr. Ellison.
I couldn't agree with you more. I hate that I didn't add that one to my list of reflections, but motivation is definitely that's one of them ones. Y'all have to go back and watch that one
Mhm,
because, as I think about leadership, as I think about team leaders and managers, and I think about people that may work at a fast food chain or a grocery store chain, you wonder why the people that report to you aren't motivated. But a lot of people don't take the time to look and see what basic things motivate people.
mhm,
Psychological needs. I believe I talked about in that video how I
mhm,
was motivated by hunger. So
mhm,
some people are motivated by money, some people are motivated by time, some people have other physiological and psychological motivations. And if you can't get behind that, you'll wonder why people just have a clock in, clock out mentality.
mhm,
If you can get behind what is motivating people, usually you can kind of inspire them to excel in their performance. So I
mhm,
think that's definitely one of them ones. And what we know is that if you have motivational factors that are external to you and that
mhm,
external factor is not there anymore, then
mhm,
what do you have? And it's important for all of us. And this is outside of a work context because
mhm,
what happens when the money isn't there and the job is or the relationship isn't there or you have
mhm,
a significant loss? You
mhm,
have to have something that is at the heart of you, at the center of you, and at the root of you that goes way below surface level because we look at things on social media and television. We see people driving fancy cars and, they have bodies and figures that look good. And then we wonder, if I was that person, I would be happy, and we wonder why they're not. And I
yeah.
think this kind of digs below the surface of that. So I definitely think that's one of them ones, Dr. Burks.
That was a good video, but again, some may call us biased, but that video is deep. And like you said, it surpasses professionalism. That's personal as well. That is personal as well. So, anywho, what you got for us, Dr. Ellison?
My next reflection is trends. That is a video called Trends.
The Lord bless you. Alexis Herman, born 77 years ago in Mobile, Alabama, was remembered for not only making history when President Jimmy Carter selected her to lead the Women's Bureau at the Labor Department, but for breaking through a glass ceiling, becoming the first Black woman to head the U.S. Department of Labor a decade later.
I found a memo that she wrote. It recommended that the first thing we do was to push the passage of the Family and Medical Leave Act.
She worked hard. She asked tough questions. She told you the truth, even when you didn't necessarily want to hear it.
She spoke the language of labor and of liberation. She understood that work is sacred, that dignity is not reserved for the wealthy.
And once she reached a new level, she always turned around to see who was behind her and extended her hand to help them climb.
And what I really liked about this video is that it starts by honoring the legacy of the first Black woman Secretary of Labor, Alexis Herman, and her contributions to that FMLA that we talked about and OSHA. So a lot of these workplace policies that are in place are because of this Secretary of Labor. And so I really like that the video started because unless you do deep dives like I do, a lot of people had not heard of this Secretary of Labor. And so we did honor her legacy as she has recently passed away. And another thing that I really, really liked about this video is that I started out by telling Dr. Burks how much I missed her.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you, Dr. Burks? I have missed you. We have done some videos. So
Good.
you've had quite a few HR specific videos, and I've had some leadership videos, but I am so blessed to be doing a video. I've missed you. I have a lot of HR material in my videos, and I'm like, I miss my partner. Where's she at? So I'm so glad to be recording with you today.
I am too. I feel a little rusty almost to, realize I'm not doing this by myself, but it has absolutely been a pleasure for us to be able to showcase our expertise individually, but I'm always down to return to our roots and do this thing together. So I'm excited.
This was our first video together that we had, been doing some separate videos. And this was our first video that she and I had come back together to do after a while. And a lot of people don't know what happens behind the scenes. And as Dr. Burks has talked about adaptability, as we have talked about motivation, and we've reflected on these lessons that we've learned over the past year, life happens to us too. And life did happen to us. We've had sick children, we've been sick ourselves, we've had to travel, we've had, things happen to us. And guess what we did? We adapted. There's some videos and posts that we have that I done solo, some that she's had that she's done solo, but at the end of the day, the work continues. And I can't remember which video we said it in, but I made a remark about when I was in the military, and if a soldier was lost his life in action, or if a soldier passed away, they would just replace that person and the mission would continue. You reflect, the person lost their life, but at the end of the day, the work continues. And so that was, if I could say memorable, it was honoring the legacy of the former Secretary of Labor, Alexis Herman, and her contributions, because who hasn't been sick and had to take medical leave? Who does not have to consider whether or not their workplace is safe? And then also reflecting on the fact that life happened to us too. Life life happened to us too. And just coming back together, and Dr. Burks, I just want to give you your flowers, ma'am, because I have watched you demonstrate resiliency and putting what we learn into practice, into practicing what we preach. Dr. Burks.
Don't get me emotional today. Just saying, but thank you. No, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. We operate in the place of um, no excuses. But the beautiful thing is, if Dr. Ellison pushes herself, she'll have me that can say, like, it's okay, you can breathe, and vice versa. We've had times where I wasn't feeling well. We met up. I said, Dr. Ellison, we have to get to it because I don't feel well. And she never says, well, why? Or there's no argument. It's just, okay, like we're still showing up for each other. And again, that is so essential when you partner with someone. But if I could back up for 2 seconds, one, I love the trend video because I feel like we covered two different spectrums, but collectively it just flowed. I think we got to the point where we started talking about topics that the other was going to cover, which again happens, professionals. We don't talk about our topics. We just come together and it just flows. It's so natural. But I think people need to remember as we reflect, Be Professional existed before Dr. Ellison and I knew each other. We didn't know it was Be Professional. We didn't know that we would have a Dr. Ellison and a Dr. Burks. We weren't even doctors at the time that God put consulting in us. And it happened so naturally, the way that we met, the just the business and professional and also personal and faith-based mindsets that we have. I pray that if any of you go into business with someone else, that you have the same experience. And from a professional level, Dr. Ellison, I have so much admiration for her, but even on a personal level, she's awesome. And I get the best of both worlds. So I am very grateful that God didn't just give me a business partner, but He also gave me family. Everyone isn't afforded that opportunity. And she gives us grace, or gives me grace, to be human and working in a position in a field where it's so demanding and it's a very thankless job. And, people think that we just sit down all day and answer calls and do terminations. They don't realize how mentally straining it is. And Dr. Ellison will do her work with her own clients, and just she has a bunch of projects that she does separately, and she makes no excuses. She still shows up, Be Professional. She tells me all the time she works her schedule around Be Professional. So it's like, if you wanted to, you would. If you want to, you would. And that's what makes this anniversary so much more special, because we know how long we've strived for Be Professional. I mean, we told you in our It's in the Name video, she named us. So I always go back to, like, words cannot express how grateful I am, because she could have partnered with anyone, I could have partnered with anyone, but God chose us to work with each other. So, Dr. Ellison, if I never gave you your flowers, I just wanted to make sure I thank you for that as well.
Did you have any more reflections?
Let's see. I have one that, okay, I'll go. I won't mention the honorable mention one because that's a whole nother conversation. But my last reflection is about remote work. I love this video because Dr. Ellison dropped gems per usual, but I love the fact that she was able to give a live account of what happened when remote work changed and people were having to come back in the office, and how that impacted people. I have a friend who works for a government agency, and she went from working remote every day to having to come back into the office, no hybrid, just in the office, and how I was able to give my experience on having the option to do hybrid. However, due to the nature of my work, it is most effective to be in person. But the gem that I feel I personally dropped, if I can toot my own horn, was that the business is going to take care of the business itself. And so if you work for another organization, you have to adapt to thus said the business. And so I'll say this: while you go and you're looking at jobs, make sure you thoroughly read those job descriptions and ask questions. I had another person that connected with me on LinkedIn, and she had applied for three different positions with a major hospital, and she got contacted by the recruiter. And as the recruiter is walking through it, they mentioned it was an on-site position, and this person said, well, I literally just applied for this job, and I applied for it because I need exclusively remote. And the recruiter said, oh no, they changed their mind. So imagine, had she been further in the um, the process of her applicancy, and then you find out, oh no, they changed their mind. Like those are things. So do you conform so that you can have a job, or do you move on? So I think that that video just gave you different perspectives, and especially being in a position that's significant as a leader in the military, and how there was no arguing, there was no back and forth, there was no negotiating. It's just you had to do what you had to do. So I think those different perspectives were awesome.
But the biggest thing to keep in mind is the business still came first. So, amidst me wanting to accommodate household issues or demands, the business still had to come first. So, in flexing time, the most important thing was how are you allowing your schedule to accommodate the business need? Because ultimately, the business is always going to come first.
And I really do hope that you enjoyed the video professionals. What do you think, Dr. Ellison?
You did a remarkable job in that particular video. And again, I'm glad you mentioned adaptability early on because that's one of those things. So, as we talk about flex time and remote work, it is going into an interview or going into a situation and knowing what you do and you don't want to do. What are your boundaries? What are your non negotiables? Am I willing to come on to the site? And if so, how
Mhm,
often? And knowing
mhm,
that before you walk, into a job interview because the situation may change from the time
mhm,
you applied and got in your car to the time you sat
mhm,
down and they asked the first interview question. The situation may have changed because as Dr. Burks and I have just, stated earlier, landscape of the workplace is dynamic. It is
mhm,
evolving. It is changing, and it depends on the economy. It depends on competition. It depends on a lot of different factors. And I know sometimes, as an employee or as somebody that's being recruited or applying for a job, sometimes you may not understand all of the variables and factors that go into the decision making that comes down from the C suite or comes down from the corporate level. And so that's one of those things. But yes, Dr. Burks, you did a phenomenal job in that piece of
you.
work there. You did.
Thank you. I
You-
appreciate it.
So
Do you
my
have anything else?
I do. So I talked a lot about some of our videos in my first several reflections. These last several ones are Instagram posts. So the first one I will reflect on is our very first Instagram post. And that post was about lack of accountability. And that is why we are here in the first place because you don't all of a sudden come to work one day like I'm just not going to be professional.
Mhm,
That is a pattern in practice. You are
mhm,
doing that because there is a lack of accountability somewhere. Number one, lack of self accountability. And then two, who holds a person, an individual, a set of employees accountable to conduct themselves in a professional manner at work.
mhm,
And I'm reflecting on our first IG post specifically because it was our first time saying to the world, there is a problem and we acknowledge it. We're going to stop complaining about it. We're here. Be professional is here.
right here.
And that was a scary thing for us to do. And I don't know if you remember, Dr. Burks, I called you and was like, I did it.
Yeah.
We're out there now because it
Mhm,
took us, I want to say several months, and I said, you know what? I'm putting the date on the calendar.
mhm,
Effective this date, we are going to post something. We're posting something. This is the day, and we did it. And I want to reflect on our first post, which was an Instagram post about lack of accountability. It's a very simple post, but it is out there. It's for the world to see, and what is on the internet is out there. Once it's out there, it's out there. It's no taking it
out
back.
there. It's out
And
there.
that is an example of doing it scared
Yeah.
because you know Dr. Burks and I did a lot of planning. We have did a business plan. We did all the things we knew to be, correct, but you always feel like you're missing something. If I have the right this or enough of that, then I'll post, then I'll share, then I'll do this. And she has a lot of years of experience. I have a lot of years of experience in consulting. Both of us have clients. I've been doing this for years. So why would I be scared to go out here and post? But there's a difference between consulting and you do it day to day. There's a certain level of comfort there, but putting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable for the rest of the world to see,
Yeah.
wow. Dr. Burks?
So, true story, everything Dr. Ellison said was true. She actually took the she didn't dip her toes. She jumped in on all of our social medias actually. And like she said, we had been talking about posting, and then she made a post and she was just like, it's out there. You up next. And I said, and like she mentioned, this is our baby, and we know that this is a God given venture. And so we don't take that lightly. And so I was more nervous about not even just putting it out there, but a level of vulnerability it takes, because it's almost like if you are a chef and you cater an event and you're sitting there and you're watching and looking at everybody's faces to see if they like the food or see if you can get feedback. You can cook, your family loves for you to cook, but it's different when you are in front of other people who don't owe you anything to pacify you and make you feel better. And so that's kind of how I felt. We know our years of experience, we know what we're capable of. We are putting ourselves in an environment. We are two black women who are working and trying to say, like, hey, I get that there are all these organizations, but let me tell you what's different about Be Professional. And one thing Dr. Ellison and I have really pressed since the beginning is we still want to be relatable. We have personalities. Yes, we are professionals, but we are also relatable. And like Dr. Ellison mentioned, that adaptability component, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even connect those. That's true. But we, in terms of accountability, we have accountability to one another. And that is amazing, because I know if I fall short, she's here, and vice versa. That goes without saying. So, again, that goes back to my gratitude, because I could have done this with anybody else, and he saw fit for us to do it together. So, but yes, when our very first video was posted on YouTube, that was all Dr. Ellison. And as we mentioned, as time went on and we started posting, I'm serious, if you go look, you can see our confidence and our way to articulate. Lighting looks different. Our delivery is different. And so you can see that timidness slowly start to go away. So now we know what we like. It's just a beautiful thing. And that I feel honored that we have growth. And I'm excited for year two, when we can sit back and look at, we've gotten even better than how we were. But yeah, it did take a level of vulnerability to do it. But I'm so glad that she pushed me significantly outside of my comfort zone, but it was so worth it.
And my next reflection is also an Instagram post. The next couple ones are this one Dr. Burks posted for us, and it is AI a threat? I love this one because it got my jam. I'm not even gonna sing computer love, but check this one out, professionals. Yes, that post is a banger. I love that post because at the end of the day, we are created in God's image. I don't care. I'm not going to be replaced by AI. There is nothing that a human being that can create that is more creative than the creator. What do you think about that,
Exactly.
Dr. Burks?
No, it's true. Even with AI, I feel like it's an additive. I feel like it's a perk, but there's a formal human essence that AI can never replace. I was actually looking at something, and I don't know if I want to say the platform, but I'm sure once I get to the end of it, you'll put two and two together. But people are utilizing this platform, this service, as an alternative to using their brain. And I hate to say it that way, but respectfully. So instead of taking this platform or this service and also bringing something personal, kind of like Dr. Ellison, I may be taking us back a little bit, but Grammarly, love that because we could type papers and connect Grammarly and it'll go through. And if there are any changes, but the difference is it's an additive. We provided the work, we're using it to help us fine tune. Well, this new platform, people aren't trying. They're just saying a couple things, letting it generate what it wants to say, and then taking it. And I've seen a few times where people aren't catching that it doesn't make sense. Like it, so the AI I feel like has the ability to be really, really effective, but people are losing sight of even with this technology, you are still needed. So you can't really remove you or humans. And so that's why I don't feel threatened at the evolution of AI because I can take it and make it work as it best suits myself. Dr. Ellison can use it and be professional holistically can use it. But we realize that we are still the subject matter experts. We are feeding the computer the information and they are just simply delivering it back to us in a different manner. But I'm not worried about AI replacing me. I am irreplaceable. I don't care what they say. So, Dr. Ellison, I actually forgot about that post. Y'all, we have so much content. And
Yes.
Dr. Ellison is notorious. She'll go back and just start scrolling through stuff and then she'll remind me and we posted so much. It's like, I completely forgot about it. But that's what I meant earlier when I said we will post stuff and it's so in the moment, or if it's something God specifically has led us to post. And then it's like, this is good. Like, I cannot believe I said that, or I found that, or it's so funny. But I'm honored, Dr. Ellison, that you like my little AI post.
Yeah, I love that one, y'all. And the next reflection is another Dr. Burks exclusive. This Instagram post, you guys have to follow us on Instagram if you are not already. This one is entitled "Is HR Your Friend in Conflict?" And
Mm.
I really like this one because it got my jam. Friends, check this post out, y'all.
Friends, how many of us have them? Friends, ones we can depend on. Friends.
I really like that. One, that's my jam. And then two, what I really like about this post is the fact that we completely disagree with this whole article.
Mhm.
We disagree with people's perception of human resources.
Mhm.
Human resources, humans is a resource. And so HR should not be an enemy. Is HR your friend in a conflict? Yes. What do you
Mhm.
think about this post, Dr. Burks? I love that you posted this.
It's so difficult because I always run into people who feel like HR is always pro organization. And we have to walk this line of like trying to advocate for staff while also trying to um, advocate for the business. And so I hear all the time like HR is not your friend, but they're not your enemy. Or my goal is just to realize, get people to understand HR is an ally, and so I've had to be very strategic with that. So doing random check-ins and not only reaching out to staff when something is wrong and just kind of show them like I do care, going out and not waiting for them to come to me, but doing rounds and just going and engaging the people that I support, which is again from the janitor to the C-suite. We are very hands-on, but I just needed people to understand what HR is. Like we have so much value, like I always say, than paycheck issues, W-2s, terminations, and disciplinary action. And so I think when you understand how we flow and the impact that or the I should say I don't want to say addition. I don't know if that's the appropriate term, but the value that we add to the organization, if you truly understood that, then you also would understand our role and how we all connect together. What have your experiences been like, Dr. Ellison, with HR?
HR is 100% my friend, from the janitor to the C-suite. HR is everything. Staffing,
Mhm,
recruitment, all of the entitlements, as we talked about, performance appraisals and leave, and whether or not someone stays on the job or not. They're just
mhm,
the whole total employee concept is wrapped up into human resources,
mhm,
and they should not be an enemy. HR, the only time we see HR shouldn't be when there's an issue. And I think that that is the issue, is that that's the
mhm,
only, it seems like the only time we have an encounter with HR is when it's time for somebody to get fired. And I think
mhm,
that that is the wrong answer. I think HR needs to have more of a strategic role in an organization, because they have such a huge, if there's people there, then HR needs to have a huge role. So
mhm.
unless you working around a bunch of robots, like, I don't even know what to tell you. HR for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, is our friend, especially
Thank
in times of
you.
conflict.
Not the enemy, I'm trying to tell you.
Not
Hopefully, they'll
the
see, 'cause think I'm
not
pretty
the
cool.
enemy. But as we reflect on necessary resources, those,
Mhm,
let me help you help yourself. The
mhm,
more you know about your inner workings of your organization, the
mhm,
policies and all of that stuff, what you're entitled to, the
mhm,
best you can leverage your HR.
mhm,
Go to them already empowered, knowing, what you are and you are not entitled to, and they're there to
mhm,
help you, because HR is there to advocate on your behalf,
mhm,
or at least they should be. So I
mhm.
really, really like that post for
Thank
several
you.
reasons. I just really like how you did that one. And then I have one more final post and then a bonus. And I heard you have a bonus as well.
Awesome.
Um, the one IG post that I do like is the one that says leaders are readers. And this one has some of my top favorite books and an image of a library. And so, if you have watched some of our other content, then you know that I am a first generation college graduate. And I
Mhm,
haven't shared this before, but one of the first things my great grandmother did down in the rural South was she set me in a library. Now, she
mm,
didn't tell me much about what was going on in the part of the South that I was from. I
okay.
saw things that
Mhm,
didn't look right, but I didn't really understand it. And a lot of my mentors have been in books. If I wanted to learn anything about my body, it was in a book. If I wanted to learn about life and
mhm,
death, it was in a book. If I wanted to learn how to eat to live, it was in a book. Everything that I've pretty much wanted to know has always been in a book. And not just a book, but policy letters,
mhm,
SOPs.
mhm,
Leaders are readers.
mhm,
Empowered employees
mhm.
are readers. And so, for that reason, that post was so an embodiment of me. And so I really liked that post. And did you want to give your bonus, or do you want me to give my bonus?
I'll give my bonus before we adjourn. So, as you all know, Dr. Ellison is a veteran. I think we've, expressed that. But she made a post for Veterans Day, and it was it was very admirable because she was, I mean, she was going to get it. I mean, she was in the middle of working out. It was cold outside. She was trying to control her sinuses.
Good morning, love.
Hopefully you're feeling good this morning. I'm at mile 3. I got 2 more to go. Guess what? There ain't nobody out here. Because if it was easy, everybody would be out here doing it. I know you're sore. I know you're tired. But if you want it, you gotta get up and get out here and get it. Get up.
But the point is, she showed that she got up and didn't make excuses. And then it was very encouraging to get out and go get it. Get up and get out and go get it. So for me, I will go back and watch that video from time to time, not only because it's Dr. Ellison, but because the message, the word that she provided is very, very, very inspiring to me personally. And she is the epitome of, to me, what are excuses. And before I finish, I don't know if I shared this before, but Dr. Ellison would be in the field doing homework in her doctoral program. And I always give her kudos for that because I couldn't imagine. And so when she made that post, I knew she had already been practicing what she preached. And so I can tell you firsthand the things that this woman went through to get her degree, very well deserved. Very well deserved. And so when she posted that on behalf of us, it was so appropriate. It was so needed. And I really hope that when you professionals have a chance to view the video, that you receive the same encouragement that I did as well. Dr. Ellison.
What an amazing bonus, Dr. Burks. I really appreciate that. One of the things about the military is I'm so grateful that God allowed me to experience the military, as challenging as it was. But when the Bible talks about being a soldier in the army of the Lord and putting on the whole armor of God, now I have an understanding of what that feels like. Or I think I can have a little bit of an understanding of what that feels like. And so I am a servant. I am his servant. And Dr. Burks and I are here to serve. And so I really appreciate you saying that about that
Of
post.
course.
So Veterans Day to me means a lot more than just a military post. It is a reflection of what Dr. Burks and I do on a day-to-day basis, and that is devoting our life to serving others, and not for the purpose of people pleasing, but for the purpose of serving our Creator in heaven,
Amen.
which is what we do this for. And
Amen.
then to end on a high note,
Mhm.
one thing that I was tickled and giggled about as I reflected back over this past year, just looking at photos and videos, looking at our content, was Dr. Burks and her adjustments. Watch this, professionals. Dr. Burks.
Let me fix myself for a second so I can make this make sense in a couple of words.
Advice from people who are on the internet popping balloons and stuff. Like, why are we doing that?
Prime example. Let's go to TikTok. Hold on, let me fix myself because I'm passionate about this. So on TikTok,
Now, did you guys see her constant adjustments? That tickled me. But the fact that she makes adjustments like that is a reflection of how she is in her real life. Dr. Burks is a reflection of what it means to make adjustments. And that is what we have to do in this life, is that we just have to make adjustments. We talked about how Job Corps suspended its operations.
The president has an initiative in which he wants to create 1 million apprenticeship opportunities, wants to make America skilled again. And yet we're shutting down the federal program that's a trade school.
All I needed was a crack in the door. All I needed was an opportunity. I just needed to just stick my little pinky toe in there, and it just opened up a world of opportunity and experience for me. Talked about the implementation of AI and other technologies. We've talked about people's jobs being frozen and other
Mhm,
things happening as a result of elections and tariffs and other things over the course of this year. So
mhm,
much has happened this past year that we can reflect on. But
mhm,
when I saw Dr. Burks, and I noticed in almost every video, she would say, "Hold on, let me adjust myself," or "Let me fix myself." It just tickled me because that is her in real life. She is going to make an adjustment. And
mhm,
it is okay for
mhm,
us to take a step back and do some self-reflection and figure out, you know, what's going on in our life and what we need to change, what we need to keep, how we need to consult God for his wisdom
yeah,
and make an adjustment and continue putting one foot in front of the other. And
yeah,
that, as much as that those clips tickled me, it is a reflection of her real life. It is a reflection of our real life.
mhm,
And to sum all of this up, be professional is different. We are
mhm,
here to improve performance across all levels of an organization, from the janitor to the C suite. And if you are looking at our content, we don't have a lot of views, we don't have a lot of likes. There is an appetite in this world for gossip, slander,
mhm,
fighting,
mhm.
backbiting, for stuff that doesn't, oh, see the adjustment. There is an appetite for stuff
Man,
that
whew,
benefits in the long run.
mm,
But at the end of the day, professionals, we are here and hopefully we are adding value to your lives. I pray that God will bless us, that we can continue to do that. We
mhm,
hope that we're always transparent. That is one thing that differentiates us from our competitors, and
mhm,
that's why our customers choose us. We're
mhm,
not making reels just to be making reels. We're not making YouTube videos and IG posts and LinkedIn posts just to be making them. We are not copying and pasting and forwarding
no,
other people's content,
no,
reusing other people's content, catering to the algorithm. We are creating original content, and we are hoping that it would empower you to be your best self, because God
absolutely.
has a work for you.
Mhm,
God has chosen you. He has blessed us to celebrate another year. And I
mhm,
don't take it for granted. I pray that you don't take it for granted. I know Dr. Burks doesn't take it for granted. He didn't have to give us another day today. And I
mhm,
am so grateful for all of you who have chosen to stick with us this past year, everyone who has liked a video, who has liked a post, because it takes a special person to sit down and try to better themselves.
mhm.
Because we could be doing clickbait material,
Yep.
but we choose not to copy and pattern our and fashion ourselves as the
Mhm.
rest of the world does. Dr.
Woo.
Bird.
That's a whole mic drop. And the other thing I love about us is we don't have to put down anyone else to make us look better. We don't operate in a spirit with a spirit of mediocrity. And I feel like it shows. And so, like Dr. Ellison said, I thank you for every view. We thank you for every like. We thank you for sharing what you shared. We thank you for talking about Be Professional Consultancy, even if we may not hear the conversation. And we so appreciate you for putting our name in rooms that we have not yet entered. And we also thank God for you, that whatever compelled you to click on our video, that the same interest will happen with others. So like Dr. Ellison said, we don't have a lot of views and likes, but it's right now, and we know that will change. And so just wait and see. It's only getting better. We have some interesting things that I think you will like coming up in the future. And just understand, we operate with authenticity. And that's what makes it so easy, because you get the same energy each and every time that we meet. And we will not settle. One of the biggest things that we said in the beginning when we were creating our mission and our vision is that we would not just settle for anything. So we are not going to compromise our morals, our integrity, and our faith. And so we also encourage you to do the same. Don't compromise for absolutely anyone. Don't sell your soul for anyone. We know what clickbait is. We know what content gets views on any form of social media, but that's temporary. Once you log offline, what else do you have to fall back on? And half of these people are living the life they're showing you, but that's another conversation. Y'all don't want me to preach about that. But anywho, so we just, again, thank you for rocking with us. And we hope and pray that you stick around. Keep Be Professional in your mouth in a positive way, prayerfully. And then just any encouragement, you can interact with us. Um, we look at this as a conversation. Let's continue the conversation, and we will be very intentional with our engagement. We are open for feedback. We are so receptive, and so I really hope that through our content over the past year, all of the things that we've mentioned, you've been able to pick up on.
All right, professionals, on to season 2.
Yeah,
Be encouraged yourself, encourage others, and as always, be professional.
be professional.
Perfect, perfect.